Good morning, afternoon, whatever it is. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Sunday Brunch. Today I am in St. Albans, West Virginia with a young lady named Makenna Hope that was referred to me by our first guest, Justin. And she's got a lot of stuff going on. She's building a winery with her husband, and she's going to tell us all about everything that she's got going on. And we're going to pick her brain and see what we can learn. Makenna, it's all you.
Okay. There's so many things in here, I can't always think off the top of my head. As you said, me and my husband are opening a winery in St. Albans. It's called Heavenly Heritage Winery. We met in Helvetia, and that's where he used to have this, what we're in right now. And we moved it here when we got married. Not really sure when we're opening yet, but it'll happen. But I'm juggling this and also being a musician and a halfway homesteader at the same time.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Any of those things by themselves is a handful, but when you add them all together, that's quite a juggle.
Yeah, and I'm planning on adding more. I keep wanting to expand the homesteading part of it to like goats and alpacas and more chickens. Even though I think 30 is enough, but not 3.
What kind of chickens do you have?
Oh, so many. I have Silkies, Americanas, Sapphire Sky, Rhode Island Reds, Jersey Giants, Buff Brahmas, Polish Phantoms, a lot more. I got like 4 of each breed. It's a ridiculous amount. But I used to be terrified of chickens.
Really?
Did not like them at all. And then I kind of grew up a little bit and found who I was as a person, and then randomly I went through this phase where I was scared of most animals and any bug and anything, and then I kind of got to this point where I started respecting those things more. And when you respect something, you kind of fear it a little less, I feel like. And so I started also wanting to kind of become more self-sustainable with my own, produce, and I even make my own syrup because it has less stuff in it than the store does, and it's $2 to make. So I started doing all that, and then it felt like the next step was chickens and ducks. The ducks did not work out. They were mean. They were. Everyone talks about how cute and sweet and cuddly ducks are. They are vicious. I don't know if maybe it's just the ones we got.
What did you do to your ducks to make them mean?
Nothing. They were mean from the day we got them. And one of them faked me out. I thought it was being sweet to me for once, and it let me hold it, and then it bit me. And I was like, I'm just sitting here. You just faked out so that I thought you were going to be sweet to me, and you bit me. But they are now living with my cousin. They have like 100 ducks, and they live in diapers in their house.
Oh no.
As house pets because they did not like being outside. These ducks did not like being outside.
So they
wanted nothing to do with it. So they're bougie ducks now. And they live in their house. So Steve and Ducky Goose, which is what my nephew named them, are with them. And because people get really harsh in the poultry world or any type of bird that you can get eggs from and eat them. They just immediately are like, oh, it's mean, just kill it. And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do that. That's just terrible. That's a life that you're taking for no reason. So I rehomed them.
Because you could eat it.
You could eat it, and duck's great, but I don't have the heart to do that just because it's mean to me. So, but there went my duck eggs, but I now get a lot of chicken eggs. I got 23 today.
Oh, mercy.
23 eggs.
You got
today.
30 chickens and 23 eggs?
Well, I technically have 29. I had a rooster. He had to be rehomed because the hens did not like the rooster, and they almost killed him.
Now, do you raise any of your own chicks, or do you?
Not yet. I have only had chickens for about a year and a half now.
Okay.
And and we don't have a rooster now. So he was a little Polish rooster about this big. He was adorable, and he crowed really loud all hours of the day, and I loved him. I named him Einstein, and he got attacked by all the women. And they would have killed him if I wouldn't have stopped him. And I just didn't feel it was right to put him back in with them. So I found a lady that needed a rooster whose hens wouldn't kill the rooster, and I homed him to her. But yeah, I do that, and just planning on expanding all of that to where I can have a lot of the products that I buy get from my own property and my own labor. Because I feel like that's just, you get so much more satisfaction from that than just going to the store and buying it. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but I love it.
Anything that we work for, we tend to appreciate more.
Mm-hmm.
If you're growing a tomato and you get a slice into that and taste the freshness of that, you know that you planted that and you brought, that's special. And your own eggs, I mean, when you crack one of your eggs and crack one from the store, and that pale white yolk on a store-bought egg, it just doesn't even taste the same. It doesn't look the same.
Mine are like bright orange,
right?
And I love it. And my shells are not like, we're talking a lot about chickens. My shells are not brittle. Like, they are strong because they get the amount of calcium that chickens need to be healthy. And like, we had them on the cheaper food because that's what we could afford. And one of mine, its liver started failing. And I went, no, we're switching foods. And we went to the expensive stuff. Chicken feed is not cheap. And they go through a bag of it in like a day and a half.
Oh, wow.
And it's almost $30 a bag. So it's not cheap, but I didn't want my chickens suffering. I want them to have happy and healthy and good lives. So we had to change their feed, and I make no money off of these chickens. I used to sell eggs, and then winter hit, my ladies said, no, I'm not laying an egg, and nobody bought them after that because they keep forgetting I sell eggs. If you find me on Facebook, please buy my eggs. I had over 200 eggs from a 2-week span.
Oh, mercy.
And I had to just give I cooked half of them up with spices to give to the chickens because I was like,
Now, do you feed your shells to your chickens?
Mm-hmm. We don't even have to. They eat them themselves.
Yeah.
Chickens are...
That could be a problem.
It is. Every time we change their nesting pads, we come in there and they've eaten several of their eggs and it's just everywhere. They're vicious. They're super nice to me, but they eat their eggs, which is why we haven't tried to let any of the broody ones hatch their own chicks because they would just end up eating them.
You might be surprised. I've had chickens most of my life.
Mm-hmm.
It's only been the past couple of years that I got rid of my chickens. They're a lot of work, and if you don't want to be home all the time, it's not the animal to have.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be there to let them out in the morning. I free range mine.
Yeah.
So I just pinned them up at night to keep the animals away from them, and in the daytime they were free.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a commitment to be there. So
oh, it is. And I mean, I am very stickler for making sure they have enough square foot in their run and their coop for when they're not free ranging, that if we have foxes and hawks, so if I know that there's a hawk, I'm not going to let them free range that day because I prioritize their life. And I'm just always worried that, I can't shoot a hawk. That's illegal. So I can't do anything to deter the hawk outside of a few DVDs on the top of the roof and a fake out. That's you look up what to do with a hawk and that's all they'll tell you to do.
Have you considered, if you're going to get more animals, if you're going to get sheep or goats, you should consider a Great Pyrenees,
mm-hmm.
but it needs to be one that you raise with the chickens
mm-hmm.
because they're notorious for killing chickens.
Yeah, I have thought about getting a farm protection dog because we already had, when we first built our run, I had told my dad, I was like, we don't want to use chicken wire. Doesn't keep anything out. He's like, no, it does. That's why it's called chicken wire. Well, I was like, whatever, Our neighbor's dog broke into that so fast. Thankfully, none of the chickens died. They were all alive, all unharmed. But after that, we fortified that run. It has a 2-foot dig out with hardware cloth, rocks around the entirety of it. It is stable.
Does it have a top or is it?
We're active. It has a hardware cloth on the top and a tarp, but we're getting a roof on it in like a week or two. It was just that like we were building it right before winter and we were like running out of time to finish it. So we're about to go get finished the rest of the run, but they haven't had any issues, and I feel like a lot of it is trial and error. Just realizing what doesn't work and what does. Like what beddings. I tried sand. I tried coffee grounds. There's a type of coffee ground bedding, and everyone recommended it. It sucks. Don't bother. Now we just use wood chips, and that's the best option we've found so far.
Yeah, I would think a sawmill and some wood chips would be.
Well, and they're cheaper than the sand. They last longer than the sand, because the sand, you have to scoop it daily. And then it doesn't matter how much you scoop it, it still has a smell. And they get all that sand in their food. And it's just like, it's not fun. And I did not enjoy having the sand. And then when you have to clean it out, you have to scoop sands at every crevice. So I stick with the wood chips because it lasts longer, and it's, honestly, they like it a lot better. They started making nests in it and laying their eggs in it, which bugs me. I don't know why they don't use their nesting boxes. It's like they're allergic to them. But
chickens have a mind of their own. They kind of do what they want to do.
They do. Like mine scream all the time. If one of them is in a nesting box and the other one wants in that nesting box, they're just going to start screaming at each other. I was on a phone call getting booked for a show, and the man called, and I had to literally walk away from the chicken coop and be like, I'm so sorry that my chickens are screaming. Ignore that. And, but weirdly, I think that helped get me the show, because then he was just intrigued about my chickens. But I feel like we should talk about something other than chickens, because people have probably heard enough of them.
So what's your musical background? How did you get there from here? Was music like something that was in your family, or was it something that you just got introduced to elsewhere?
Well, like distant family members always loved music, but I, at 7 years old, wanted to join a talent show, and my mom told me no, because she said, if you suck, I don't want you to embarrass yourself. At least you know she's honest. And I begged, I said, please let me do it. She said, okay. And I did it. I sang Amazing Grace, because that's what every 6-year-old does when they do a talent show. And people liked it, and I loved it. I was the kind of 7-year-old that would not wear pants. I would only wear dresses, and they had to twirl, because I just liked being the center of attention at that age. And it was very fun for me, and I started doing competitions around the state. And as that expanded and I kind of got better, I started learning guitar, and I started songwriting, and I started getting 3-hour gigs at 13, and
Wow.
Those suck. I hate 3-hour gigs. I don't know how people live in Nashville, because they have like 7-hour gigs that people do there. Not happening. No, I'm a belter. My voice would be gone. Can't do it. I do 2 hours and then I'm done. Because I feel like taking care of your voice is more important than getting paid for the 3 hours. And I just kind of built from there. I did an EP at like 13. It's terrible. And I started writing at 13 for myself. Up until then, I had had several people giving me songs. Like, you had Andrew Atkins. He gave me a song that's actually on one of my EPs that I have on Apple Music. And, you know, I really enjoyed songwriting because I felt like it was kind of a therapy on its own. Like, it's something that you can put all these emotions into that you don't always know how to process. And it helps you process that because you're writing about it. And I love that. I have some very deep songs that are very personal to me. And a lot of people have asked me, well, you should sell your songs. Not going to do that, because I wrote them about my own experiences, and I feel like it would feel wrong to have somebody else singing it instead of me. But no, I've just kind of continued to do that. I'm about to start working on a new album, because I don't have a full-length album yet. I only have EPs. And that's kind of, you know, how I got to there. I've enjoyed every step of it. It's a bit stressful sometimes, but I got there.
You've got a lot going on, and before we started recording, you were telling me that you have some struggles in life, some things that you're working on,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, I think as a fan, I think that sometimes we look at artists and think, man, they've got it all together. Look at this, they're playing these shows, they're doing this, they're doing that, they're everywhere, they're having this great life.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes we don't see behind the curtain at what an artist is going through. So if you're comfortable with it, tell us a little bit about some of your struggles.
Mm-hmm. I actually only recently started talking about my health issues through the musician standpoint. Like, all my friends and, you know, my family know about it, but I, for a very long time, struggled with the thought of people seeing me differently being a disabled musician, because I didn't want people to go, oh, I should like her because she's disabled. I wanted people to like me for me. So I didn't really talk about it, and I only recently started talking about it through my music because I wrote a song called Broken With You, and I wrote it about my husband and the fact that I have all of these health issues and he loves me anyways through all of it. And I realized that there's not a lot of songs about what people go through when they're disabled in life in general. They just don't really write it. And so I started kind of talking about that because I feel like there should be something for those people to relate to hear, hey, I have the same issue, and they were able to make it through that and work through it and still enjoy their life. There are different levels of the conditions that I have. I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, POTS, type 1 autism, and a stomach condition called mogul-cecum, and there's more, but I don't want to go through a whole list of them because it just keeps going. But like I told you earlier, most connective tissue disorders have conditions that go along with them, because when you have a connective tissue disorder, it affects your brain, it affects your joints, your muscles, your eyes, your heart, all of these different things. So I got diagnosed at 9 with Ehlers-Danlos, and we were like, okay, great, we found out what it is. That's all I'm gonna have. And then through the years, they're like, oh, you might have degenerative disc in your back, and you have forms of arthritis, and you have this and this and this, and it kind of gets to the point where you don't really want to tell people about it, because there's almost no way that they're going to believe that you have that many issues. I've been called a hypochondriac a lot, because people, they fully believe that I'm making a lot of it up, because it is hard to believe that there's so many different conditions all happening at the same time. But it's something I've dealt with my whole life. I was the kind of kid that couldn't do gym because I wouldn't be able to walk for a whole week after. And kids would make fun of me and call me a cripple. I've had to get a handicap placard for my car because there are some days I just can't walk. And it even affects my guitar playing. There's certain days where my fingers lock up and I can't play. Or I have to sit in a chair because I can't stand without almost passing out. But I've kind of found ways to work through a lot of them and find ways to be able to still do things even when these things are happening. But it just was a lot of trial and error for me, because part of your brain is like, hey, I feel terrible. I don't want to do anything. I just want to give up and lay in my bed and not have to deal with any of these things. And there you hit a certain point where you just have to go, okay, well, this sucks, but I'm not going to let it ruin my life. I need to push through and just do what I need to do. Sometimes that's not the best decision because you end up having a flare up and then you are in bed for a few weeks. But at least before that flare up, I was enjoying my life, and that's the way I see it. At least I got to make a few good memories in that time, and I'm back up after the flare up's over and I'm doing what I want to do. Like I was telling you earlier, I wanted to go to culinary school and become a chef. And I kind of let my disability stop me from doing that. And then life threw a whammy at me, and now I'm having to be the chef of our winery. So, I mean, I feel like some things come full circle that I might not have believed in myself and didn't think I could do it, and now I have a chance to see if I can do it. So I think I'm going to be able to get through it, and I'll figure out what I need to do to make sure that happens, but I'm gonna do it, and I'm really excited about it, because it's music and cooking are like my two passions. They're the things that I do when I'm stressed or anything, any emotion. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go cook or I'm gonna go write a song. It's one of the two. And so I'm really excited for that new step, but it is adding a lot to my plate a little bit, but I'm excited about it.
Cool. I struggle to ask questions about anything. There's a lot of things there that I'm sure are pretty personal to you, and so I want to be sure that I'm being respectful. The only, as all the things you mentioned there, the connective tissue disorder, I've heard of that before. The other thing that you said that I hear more commonly nowadays, you talked about autism a little bit and type 1. I've not heard this type 1 description before.
So type 1 was what was originally labeled as Asperger's.
Okay.
But they got rid of that term because, if I'm not wrong, there was some things about the person that it was named after that came out, and they did not want it represented with that name anymore.
Okay.
I may be wrong, but that's from what I've read, that's what it is. And it's just basically like the low end of autism. You still have a lot of, like, I can't look people in the eye. I very much struggle to do it. I force myself to, but I don't really like doing it. I don't like physical touch. I can't really eat most foods because the texture and all of that makes me anxious. I don't really understand social cues. I really don't, and I didn't get diagnosed till I was 18, and everybody just thought I was the weird kid who didn't know when to shut up and didn't know when not to say something. And, you know, I had my weird hyperfixations. Like, I fully, up until the age of like 12, believed I was a vampire and was a very weird kid. And there's a thing that women with autism do, and it's called masking. And basically, you learn what society wants you to be, and you put yourself in that little box when you're around people that you don't really know, so that they're not going to look at you and think, oh, this is the weird kid. And I learned how to do that for a really long time, and weirdly, I'm trying to force myself out of that because I still want to be who I am and not who my brain goes, hey, you should be this. So people now that I've been trying to, you know, stop masking think I'm pretty weird now, but at least I'm being authentic. I much prefer that than trying to force myself, because it's exhausting trying to be what everybody wants you to be. Like I say, my brain is like a file cabinet. I have what I really want to say, and then every little thing on this little file cabinet of what everybody else thinks I should say. And I have to like shuffle through the little file cabinet to figure out what I need to say. And I just thought I was weird and got overstimulated and would want to cry when there was a fire truck going by and all this like weird things. And a lot of people think that's you being emotional, or, oh, you're having a meltdown over something stupid and you can control that. Well, partially you can. But at the same time, you go into this thing that's like sensory overload, and your whole body is screaming at you that something is wrong, and you panic. And I thankfully don't have many of those meltdowns. I had one in Alaska over a cheeseburger. It was a mushy cheeseburger. And I don't do... No, it's funny now. I was very embarrassed about it when it happened, because it's like, we stay in Alaska for 2 weeks every summer at my aunt's lodge. And there was like a new chef, and very kind woman, but the food was off from like there was a grilled cheese and the whole outside was burnt, and then the inside was like cold cheese. And my brain was like, grilled cheese is safe food. Why is it not safe? And so it was like the whole time we were there, it was like I couldn't eat because I was getting stressed out by the fact that none of the food felt right. And I'm a planner. I have to have a time that things happen. I need to know exactly what I have to do in those times because it makes me feel comfortable. And I was doing a set, and I said, how long do I need to play so I can make my set list? And my mom was just like, just play until they tell you to stop. And I'm like, I can't do that. I need you to tell me a time and like a length. That didn't happen. So I take my break and I go to eat the burger, and it was like I was already overstimulated, and then I just started crying at the table going, it's not right, it's not right. And everybody's looking at me like I'm crazy, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I feel crazy because I don't want to be doing this, but I can't control it. And honestly, I think I would have felt a lot more crazy if I hadn't known what I had. But for a long time, I did feel crazy. I was like, why can't I let people hug me? Why do I struggle so much to connect with people that aren't, like right in my inner circle? I can't just talk to people comfortably all the time. I kind of shut down sometimes, or I overshare and don't know when to not talk. So it's this kind of like balancing act of trying to put enough of a mask on where people aren't going to think you're crazy and still being yourself. I think I've found a decent balance. Who knows, that might change within the next few years, but I felt like it kind of made me feel a little better having that diagnosis because I knew why my brain was the way it was, because you just kind of feel like you're broken a little bit if you don't know what's going on, because you're like, how come all these other people don't have these issues, and why don't they get stressed out when they touch microfiber towels? And like, it's like
I don't mean to laugh.
No,
There's so much that you're saying that sounds so familiar from some experiences that I've had personally and friends, and I have a daughter that's around your age, and she also has red hair and it's wavy, and so I'm sitting here talking with you and thinking about my daughter and some of the things you're saying. I'm like, I wonder about that. Because she doesn't like to be touched. She doesn't like to be hugged. She's a very smart young lady. Went to a great college, has done well in school, but when it comes to life, she doesn't want to deal with people. She doesn't people well at all.
I am a social person for about an hour or two. And then I want to retreat back to my property with my chickens and my husband and be alone. That's like it. That's why we keep wanting to get more property, so I have more distance between me and the outside world. But I don't think there's a lot of like research that has gone into why so many people have autism now. And a lot of people are like, well, many people didn't have it in my day. Well, they didn't. If you look into everything, that's one of the main reasons that I'm like trying to grow my own produce, because it's a wild thing that things you wouldn't think would affect your child and cause them because you ate it or took it or whatever in the womb. Now your kid might have autism because of that. And like that whole thing they came out about, what was it, Tylenol? Apparently Tylenol, if you take it while pregnant, your kid's going to come out autistic.
I don't know.
I have no idea if that's true at all. But that is wild if it is.
I hesitate to
believe anything on the internet.
Here's also, I'm significantly older than you, and growing up watching so many people that I went to school with and thinking about how they were in school, and then hearing your descriptions and some of the other descriptions I've heard and seen and witnessed, I tend to kind of wonder if we just had more of a lack of diagnosis back then.
Oh, that definitely was a big portion of it, because they kind of brushed that stuff under the rug. If your kid was different, you either made them not different anymore and you kind of forced them into this, you need to act this way, or a lot of, there were so many people that just hid their children if they were severely autistic because they did not want them out in society. And we've kind of become now where I feel like we are more accepting in today's age. I mean, you still have your issues. I was bullied like crazy. But it's more diagnosed to the point that when somebody is like that, they're able to go, hey, I have autism, and people kind of aren't as hateful towards them because of that. Before that, it was just, oh, you're weird or you're special or something, and they were used in not nice terms. And I like to think that we will eventually get to a point where you don't see autistic people as, you know, that much different. I mean,
so I guess my first time hearing about autism or anything of that nature, I had never heard of autism. I was probably, we're talking about 1987. I had moved to Martinsburg, West Virginia, and was dating a girl from Winchester, and she worked at a home for autistic teenage boys. And so, you know, of course I asked, what is that? And she immediately told me that they were nothing wrong with them, good people, but that most autistic people had some kind of a talent that set them apart. That they were really good at some type of art or something of that nature. And so I guess I've had a little, when somebody tells me they're autistic or I hear about an autistic person, the first thing I want to know is, what's your talent? I feel like it's probably not something you should ask.
Yeah, they're either extremely smart or extremely creative. Like, I know somebody that I grew up with that is autistic. They build robots. Like, they just build robots. And my uncle, he is like at the high end of the spectrum. He has an obsession with AC/DC. Every conversation, he will ask you about AC/DC. And the sad thing is he's gotten now to where his autism has progressed past just autism, and it's now schizophrenia and dementia. So he's not fully who he used to be, but they are some of the, people with autism are some of the kindest people you will ever meet in your life. And that's why I never, because even before I had my diagnosis, I didn't understand why people were so hateful towards autistic people, because they're so kind. It's like you have this part of your brain that's supposed to tell you, hey, be defensive, or hey, judge people, or do all these things. You don't really have that as bad. One, you don't have the filter, so you're extremely honest. But also, in the ways that we can't connect with people, other ways that neurotypical people can't connect with people, we can. It's like this whole different, I want to call it a talent, of seeing the world in a different way than other people do. I am not a pessimist in the slightest. I'm the kind of person that like won't even step on a spider because it has a soul, and I don't want to do that to it. And it's like I weirdly connect with animals so much better than people. Like a friend gave me a Luna moth yesterday.
What?
A Luna moth.
Please explain.
So Luna moths are those kinds of beautiful moths that are green and they have the little eyes on them, and they have the really long tails. Beautiful.
So when you say is this a live moth she gave you?
She thought it was dead.
Okay.
Because they live 7 days. They do not have a mouth. They do not eat or drink. They lay their eggs and then they die. That's their entire life.
Did not know this.
And I had wanted a Luna moth forever, but I am not going to buy a Luna moth because I feel like they are not sustainably sourced. And I don't want somebody killing a moth just to give it to me. So she was like, this moth is dead. Do you want it? I was like, yeah, cool, great. I would love that. She brings it. After a little while, I noticed it is not dead. It is just dying a miserable death. And I'm like, oh, what do I do? So my husband does the funniest and sweetest thing ever. He puts a light in the box with it so that as it dies, it will have a light, because moths love lights. And he plays religious music to the moth as it's dying. And then next thing we know, that moth is flying around the bathroom.
Oh my gosh.
Everywhere. It's in my hair, it's on his shirt, it's on my shirt.
Do you have pictures of this?
I have the picture of it in my hair, yes.
Right.
And I'm like, oh my goodness, what do we do? Like, I'm not going to leave it in here. We got to take it outside. We've got to let it go. And so we gently get it back in the box. We close the box. We walk it outside. It then sticks to my husband's shirt and will not leave. It wanted him. And finally it does leave. And then I come out this morning and a bird had eaten it. And it was really sad. But so I was like, would it have been better for me just to keep it in my house? But it's the little things. If I feel like a lot of animals and bugs and all of that people don't really think of as they must not have feelings. My brain is like, they do have feelings and I need to make sure they're okay all the time. Like, my niece stepped on a caterpillar the other day and I like almost cried. I was like, the caterpillar. I was like, you just stepped on it. And it just was like, I don't always understand. Like, I want children, but I can't put myself in their brains, right? So I am sad because she stepped on a caterpillar. But now she thinks I'm upset at her because she stepped on a caterpillar. So now there's a 6-year-old child crying. And I'm just going, no, I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you. It's just we got to watch where we're walking because there's caterpillars everywhere. And so now I'm walking with the 6-year-old going, there's a caterpillar, so that she wouldn't step on anymore. And she wouldn't feel bad and I wouldn't feel bad. And it's the random things that most people, if you stepped on a caterpillar, would not care. Me, I want to cry when it happens. I'm just like, that poor little caterpillar was doing nothing wrong. I've had a spider in my window for 2 years, and it just stays there. Because I'm not going to kill it. It eats all the gnats, and it has made a whole bunch of webs in that window, and I'm not messing with it. It doesn't bite me, it doesn't come to my part of the room, it chills. And I've always been like that. I was the person that would get stink bugs and gently release them outside when everyone else would just kill it, because I was like, no, it doesn't need to die. But it's just, I feel like people connect differently, and to neurotypical people it might be seen as a strange way of connecting. Everybody always thought mine was strange. They were just not able to understand the way my brain worked, and I wasn't able to understand the way their brain worked either. So it's kind of like a seesaw. You're just kind of like, we don't really understand each other, but I always feel like you can always be kind to people no matter if you understand them or not. That's just kind of where I've always sat with that. I feel like no matter how different somebody is, whether you're neurotypical, whether you're neurodivergent, whether you have anything, or you're just goofy for no reason. I mean, we have no reason to judge people just based off of their quirks or the way that they are, really. I mean, unless you're like killing somebody, I don't really think I need to judge you on anything. Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting really awkward.
I think that, I spend a lot of time trying to think about how do I judge people, and I've got some really close friends that we talk about these things with. I have a friend in South Charleston that I spend a lot of time with, and we talk about judging each other and other people and things of this nature. And I find when I sit down and break things down, if I'm truly honest with myself, I find that I do judge people just sometimes it's based on, this person's, and this is going to be horrible of me to say, nobody may ever watch my podcast again. That'll just be what it is. But, if I see somebody wearing a shirt that advertises something, I assume, that this person's like that in some way, a certain way, and so I tend to stay away. I'm probably, a little bit too judgy, but I'm judgy of myself as well. I'm a harder critic of myself than I am anyone else. I expect a lot out of myself, and I try to not disappoint me too much. But the judgment, I find it, because there's a certain amount of judgment that you have to do as a person. Mm-hmm. That when you're doing business with somebody, you have to make a judgment of, is this person someone I trust? If I'm going to buy a car off an individual that I've never met, it's a home sell, then I have to ask myself, is this a place that I feel comfortable going? And it's still some kind of a judgment. Mm-hmm. So judging's it's hard to get away from for me.
It is, and I think a lot of people do it without even realizing. And I myself do it without realizing. Somebody will drive by fast here, and my brain will be thinking of like, oh, they're an idiot. Yeah. And then I'm like, wait, why am I thinking they're an idiot? You don't know what's going on. And I have to catch myself sometimes. It's just a human thing to judge people. It's just that, like, I feel like there are certain things that people are very quick to judge with that they don't really know a lot about. And it's hard to make a sound judgment when you don't know everything about it. And that's where I'll start to make a judgment, and then I'll be like, but I don't know. So why am I judging? Because I don't know. And it's no better for me to judge than what I might believe that they're doing.
There's always going to be judgment. There's good judgment, there's bad judgment. Mm-hmm. And I mean, when you're walking down the street and you see a restaurant, you're making a judgment of, do I want to check this place out or not? Mm-hmm. And it may be the color of the building that appeals to you or doesn't appeal to you. There's all kind of different things we judge on. And a part of it is, like you said earlier, it is the human condition. We have to judge things, and yet sometimes we make a big deal out of whether or not we should or not. When we look at fruit, we're judging whether or not we'll eat that. And I think the same thing is said for people. Growing up, and I grew up in church, and there's the whole thing in the Bible, people talk about not judging each other. And so there was this T-shirt that said, I'm not a judge, I'm a fruit inspector, or something like that. Because there's this scripture that says you'll know people by the fruit mm-hmm. of their labor. And so, if you're... I remember several years ago meeting a young lady in business and being so impressed with her that I knew she had good parents. And that is their fruit. Their mm-hmm. children is their fruit. And so when you meet somebody and you're like, damn, that's a really outstanding person. To me, that's still a judgment. And to mm-hmm. me, it's a judgment of her parents, because when I wound up meeting her dad later and worked with him for some time. And I remember telling him at one point, I said, I met your daughter years ago, and we had done some mortgage business together. And I said, I was super impressed, and I wondered about your parents. And it turned out her parents were great people. And so I got really off center here talking about judgment. I'm sorry. This is going to be the most different podcast ever. Since we're talking about a podcast and mine being so different, I will tell you that if you go back and look at my podcast, you are my first female interview or conversation. So I'm happy to have you here for my first conversation.
Thank you for having me.
It's definitely been interesting, and it may be a little different than anything I've ever done, but I don't want to do the same thing that I see everybody else doing. We can sit here and talk about music, and there is a question I have for you that I wonder, but we'll get to that in a moment. All the other things, we can be like everybody else, or we can do something different. Your music, I've listened to some of your music, and your music's different. I like that your music is different. I went down this long road with my friend in South Charleston, day before yesterday. I was playing her some of your music, and I said, how do you classify this? And we were going back and forth. I was different songs I put in different categories. And she said, well, it sounds a little bit country. And I said, no, I would go with more folk on this one. I said, it sounds more folksy to me. And she said, I would go with soft country. And I'm like, soft country is not a genre I've ever heard of. Where are you getting to soft country? So, everybody should be different. Mm-hmm. If two singers sound alike or are writing the same songs, you can get rid of half of them.
Yeah, and it makes me less likely to listen, because I'm like, I want to listen to somebody that I have never heard anything like it. Right. I listen to a whole bunch of musicians that other people, I'll play them their music and they're like, I hate this. They're like, their voice is weird. And I'm like, I like that their voice is weird. I was like, technically, they are on key and correct tempo and everything that they should be, technically. But everything about their voice is unique. And I love that. That makes me want to listen to a musician. If there are 60 other versions of it, I don't want to listen to it.
one of the most unique voices today that does a great job. And I probably should have known about him 15 years ago, but didn't know about him until probably about 4 or 5 years ago. Are you familiar with Lucas Nelson?
I'm not, no.
That's Willie's son.
Oh, that's really cool.
And you should hear his voice. It's like, Willie's got a little bit of a lot of an authentic voice, but his son Lucas is like Willie on steroids. It's like take the awkwardness of Willie's voice and pump it up a couple notches, and that's Lucas. And I mean nothing disrespectful. It's just different, and it's good.
Yeah, I feel like different is good, and I have this debate with my husband all the time. He'll be like, "Your voice is just weird," and it is, but that's what makes me love it, because you're not going to hear anybody else with that voice. And it just makes me want to listen to more and want to see what all they can do with their voice. And I did used to be very country. I only sang country music. And then I kind of gravitated more towards folk. And my newer music that I haven't got to record yet is folk. I think I have one song on Apple Music that's labeled as folk. But that kind of was what I felt like, because I wasn't really happy singing country at all. I was singing it because that's what everybody wanted me to sing. And it got to the point where I just wasn't enjoying it at all when I was writing it or when I was singing it. And I started listening to folk music. And it just kind of felt like this warmth to it. I don't know how to explain that, but it's so comforting in a way.
To me, it's grassroots and authentic, and there are no serious lies in it. There's a lot of lying in folk music, because it's kind of meant to be
very
humorous.
storytelling.
Absolutely.
And with country music now, I still listen to country. I love a lot of country, but I feel like older country had this genuine storytelling that you don't get as much nowadays. And there are some country musicians that like Jason Isbell, and him I love. He tells a story in a way that feels authentic and feels genuine and feels unique, and it's just hard to get that from radio country now. And I had there was a man named Jeff Stevens, and he was Luke Bryan's producer, I believe. And he wanted me to move to Nashville. He wanted me to change all of my music to be Nashville country. I went, no. And I stayed here. Because it's, to me, I'm like, this music is who I am. And if I change that just to make a good buck, I'm not me. And I'm not being genuine, and I do not want to be that. So I didn't. And I'm still grasping for shows, but at least I'm doing shows that I want to do with the music that I want to do that is a part of who I am. And I think that a lot of people kind of lose that a little bit on the way of just hoping, hey, I hope I get famous, so I'm going to just completely wipe myself off the table of who I actually am and do everything that they tell me to do. And I just was not up for that. I don't like not feeling like myself.
I don't know if this is okay to say, but I'm going to say it anyway, because I'm like you, I can be a little awkward. But I don't know if someone with autism that's on the spectrum can really be okay with not being honest to themselves.
Not anyone I know.
I don't know that, especially based on the things that you said earlier. I don't think, based on your conversation, I don't think you would ever be at all happy with your music or enjoy building your music, or I just don't think that would be healthy.
It wouldn't be, and I feel like it's just, you would be up there singing all these songs that you didn't write, that you don't really like, but you know it's going to make money. And I feel like you're just selling yourself, and it's not even your actual self. It's something that all these other people are hoping that you'll be. I much prefer when somebody likes me for who I genuinely am than the feeling of them liking a version of me that is not true. It just doesn't feel right, and I was never able to do it. And And so I've stayed here and I've worked my butt off to try to do any form of a living of it here. And if I don't want to make it famous. I would like to make it to where I can make a little bit of money off of it so I can live. But I don't want to be, I don't want a mansion. I don't want a plane. I don't want any of that stuff. First off, mansions are just no. I want a farm, if anything. But I feel like a lot of people that are musicians have this mindset of I'll make a lot of money and I'll get to be a musician while I do it. But you get to a point where it doesn't feel real anymore. And what are you going to use all that money on? I don't know. I feel like there's only so much. I feel like the more you have, the less happy you are. Like, I'm happy, with a small house and just my own animals and my family and as little social media as possible. That's just me though. I mean, everybody has their own thing, but I feel like when we bring in so many different things that we feel like we have to have, it just adds more stress to it than just enjoying what you do have. Because I mean, me and my husband are living music paycheck to music paycheck, and those have been sparse. But we're still happy. I mean, we're a little stressed because it's stressful, but you're also going, hey, you know what? We can make meals out of whatever we find. You know what? There's canned food in there. We'll figure it out. And I feel like if you can be happy in that, you can be happy anywhere. But if you weren't happy at this lowest, I don't think you're going to be happy anywhere that you are.
I think that being grateful helps with happiness.
It does.
Grateful for the small things, and I hear that talking about eating canned food and being happy. There's a lot of people that wouldn't be happy with that. But happiness mostly is a choice. You can choose to wallow in the negativity and the hard times, or you can be thankful for that can of food during the hard times.
And if you don't appreciate the little things, you're never going to appreciate the bigger things, because it's just like you're going to be thinking of, I can have more. I can have more and I'm going to get more. And I feel like when you just learn to be happy with what you have, then when you get more, you do appreciate it. You appreciate every little thing. And that's just how I like to be, because I feel like it just feels more realistic. Because not everybody can be the Kim Kardashians who have a giant mansion and have all this money to spend. Most people are never going to have that. I mean, there's so many people living paycheck to paycheck, and it's just kind of like when you learn to be happy with what you have realistically, in the realistic realm of how things are, you just appreciate life more. I want things. I want our business to succeed, and I want to have a farm, and I want all of these things. But outside of, the business succeeding, because you do need to make some form of money to live, but I feel like we need to focus more on what we need and not what we want, because it's like what you need is what you have to live. And you don't need a lot of money to go outdoors and go on a walk or go hiking or go swimming in a creek. Even if you're not outdoorsy, there's things you can do that will bring joy to you and will make you happy that don't require money. And it's learning to kind of find love for the things that aren't glamorous, where I am always happiest. I mean, I feel way happier just taking my guitar, going out into our field and just playing music than I do going anywhere that costs money, honestly. I feel less happy when I have to spend money. I much prefer not having to do that, so I'm going to try to not have to do that. But that's just, I don't know, I feel like we put so much pressure to be successful in certain ways that we lose the little things that we enjoy doing. And with this, we're trying to make sure that we still are including all the little things in it that we get to have. Like, he's letting me sell my crafts here, so I have a reason to make all these crafts and have a place to put them.
Crafts do you make? Did you, this little mushroom thing, did you make
I did not make that.
that? Is adorable.
but I do love it. I'm one of those people that I don't like to buy from like bigger places. I will go to little festivals and buy from all the little small handmade vendors because one, it makes me feel nice that somebody's appreciating their work and they put so much effort into it that it feels so much better when you have it. But I make jewelry. I make baked goods. I make soaps. I hand make soaps and candles and all this other stuff because I just like to do things with my hands all the time. I have to do something or I get bored. So I make a bunch of little things. Like I'm about to start working with clay. And I have a whole list of things I want to make with clay. And because I am very creative and I need something to put that creativity in or I start to feel stir crazy. So I've painted, I went through a whole phase where I only painted little ghost paintings. Don't know why, whole bunch of them. I just every day was making a new ghost painting and I don't know why. I liked them, they're cute little ghosts.
So did you display them? Did you sell them?
I didn't sell them because I became connected to them. I loved these little ghost paintings. So they're all up in our house. I have a bunch of pictures of them. I did make one for a friend and I gifted it to her. And she was like, hey, I want something like this. And I painted it and I gave it to her. It was just like this little ghost walking through this dark woods with a little old-timey fire lantern. And I gave her that. But I sell the soaps, the eggs, the baked products, all of that. I also do makeup for weddings. I've done that too. I do a lot of random side jobs just because I have a lot of weird brain energy and I'm just like, I have to go do stuff. So I make all these things and then have nowhere to put them. So we're selling them here because I got to do something with them. I have like 50 bars of soap and nothing to do with them. I made them because I was doing a festival in St. Albans. I sold a whole bunch of them, but I made too much and now I don't have anywhere to put it. So I'm selling all that stuff here and it gives me a reason to get to be creative without having the pressure of, hey, where am I going to put it? Because I know where I'm going to put it. And maybe people will enjoy the little things that I make. I don't know. I enjoy making them, and that's the fun of it. I don't care if they enjoy it. I don't even care if they buy it. I got to make it, and I had fun doing it. But I was raised by the kind of parents that worked for every little ounce of everything they had. And my dad cannot sit still. He just retired. He can't sit still. He has to be doing something. And I took that from him. So if I'm sitting there for too long, I'm just like, I'm bored and I need to go outside or I need to go do something. Like we're going up to Pickens tomorrow to get the rest of the wine for our winery. And I'm like, can we stop at Audra State Park because I really want to go hiking. I need to see it. I haven't gotten to go there before and it looks so pretty and I have to go. So we're taking the extra time to just enjoy ourselves at the free state park.
Have you been to Big Bear?
I have not.
I have not been to Big Bear, and I keep seeing videos. I want to do Big Bear. The rock formations are quite incredible.
Cooper's Rock is cool.
I've done Cooper's
I
Rock.
loved Cooper's Rock.
Cooper's Rock is quite special.
Yeah,
Have you done the Falls of Hills Creek?
Mm-mm.
You should do that one. I have had a great pleasure of touring and traveling extensively inside West Virginia, and I have really enjoyed all the places I got to visit. I would have fun just being a tour guide and host for just showing people the beautiful things that I know of West Virginia. West Virginia is gorgeous. We have so much.
We do. It's something that like I've been to. The only place that I felt was even half as beautiful as West Virginia was Alaska. It's gorgeous. But it's like I go to all these different states and they're beautiful in their own way, but it's like West Virginia has this feeling to it, in my opinion. And it's just, there's something about it that just feels so close to nature. It's like, I could be away from a city forever and I would be happy. And there's so many, no matter where you are, you're right next to Charleston, there's Canal State Forest. You can go hiking, you can not feel like you're in the city, and it's only 5 minutes away. It's like, I like that anywhere you go, no matter how close it is to a city, you're going to go 5 more minutes, and there's hiking trails. And there's the woods again, and you can connect with that. And it makes me, I get so much peace just going outside barefoot and sitting outside and reading a book or listening to music or anything. I mean, our property has hiking trails on it. And I went out there and started like looking for little mushrooms everywhere, and I enjoy it so much, and I have a whole list of all the places we want to go. Like, I wanted to, instead of getting a house, just get a van and turn it into a tiny home and just travel.
Yeah.
That obviously, if you have a business, you can't do that. But maybe when we're old, I'm doing it at some point. I will have a van that is a tiny house, and I will live in it and travel in it. But it's just, there's something so beautiful about the mountains of West Virginia that you can't even capture with photographs correctly. It just doesn't. You have to be there.
You can't take a picture of energy.
No, it's just, there's something about it, and it's perfect. I love it so much. And it's just one of those things that I get very stressed out being around a bunch of people and cars and tall buildings. And I go there, and it's like you can breathe. There's different air there. And it's just gorgeous, and one of my favorite things. I absolutely love it. We're also, I believe, I'm not 100% sure if we are doing this, but we might be going to the wildlife preserve near Makenna. Yeah, because I haven't gotten to go, and I want to go so bad.
There?
I've driven past it a million times, but every time I've driven past it, they were closed.
I don't know if I'm allowed to admit this out loud on camera. If I get fined, but it's been years. I think the statute of limitations is up. But I have gone in the winter time, and they're closed in the winter time. And I've parked in the parking lot and walked the trail backwards, just because they're animals. Why can we not walk around and look at them?
That's my thing.
They closed.
Like, why? Yeah, I agree. And I almost broke onto that because there's no bathroom for like 40 minutes once you leave anywhere. And they have a little bathroom that you can see from the road. And I'm like, I could just go there right now. And I can't because I don't want to break the law. But
I'm sure it was locked.
I don't know. And I probably wouldn't have cared at that point. It's so cool. We have it, and like they literally just restarted integrating elks back into our ecosystem, and I haven't gotten the honor to see those yet because they didn't release them in our area, but I do want to see those. So I would like to go to the wildlife place and get to, I mean, it's not the same. They're not in their full where they always would be, but I think it would be interesting to see.
I was just saying last night, I have this weird fantasy dream where I go back in time like 1,000 years before there are roads on, hardtop roads and all that, and get to see the elk and the bison or all the wildlife in its natural form. If you go back in history books and the ones that I read when I was a kid, they say that the creeks had so much fish in them that you could pretty much walk from bank to bank on the backs of fish. Can you imagine that? So when I think of West Virginia, I've spent a lot of time in Canaan Valley, and there's a ridge in Canaan Valley that I've sat on a few different times and just looked across it's kind of a swampy marsh area up there along the main road. And so I've just sat there and imagined what that field must have looked like, full of elk or buffalo or whatever. It just seems like that must have been absolutely amazing to see. You drive by now and you see herds of whitetail, and that's always glamorous and beautiful to see, but they're not near the majesty of an elk or anything of that nature. It's just a different animal. I would really love to see West Virginia completely polluted with them again. I
would too. I mean, I get we do a lot of things for progression, but it's just, I hate doing that at the thought of wiping out whole ecosystems. I just can't. Like, if we wouldn't have had roads, I'd be happy. I would ride a horse if I had to. I'd be happy. Because I get no joy out of driving unless it's on a West Virginia back road and there's all just everything around you that's the opposite of civilization. What's it called? Civilization. My brain. I prefer when there's like creeks by the whole thing and it's just trees and one random house every 20 miles. That makes me happy. But it's just different. And I mean, there's people that love the city. And I don't judge them for it. I get why a lot of people love the city. It's glamorous. I'm not glamorous. I'm not at all. So I'm like, I want to be going out and just like, I'm the kind of person that just wants to like take off my shoes and just go start walking through a creek and ignore everybody else around me. That's what I like to do. I don't know where I was going with that. There was a whole point I was trying to make, and then my brain squirreled.
Well, while you're re-swirling your brain, the question I've had for you for a while, you told me earlier that your voice was a little shaky and so you weren't ready to sing tonight. But I wonder, the song that you mentioned earlier about some of your trials and some of the stuff you're going through, can you quote those lyrics? Can you give us a spin down of that song?
Yeah. So basically, it's like from the perspective of somebody who really didn't think they'd be loved because of the fact that I have had relationships where, because I was disabled, they didn't want to put up with it. I actually, well, no, that's too dark to say. There were some that would get so frustrated that they wanted to get physical. Like it was that I had very poor choice in men. And so I kind of was like, I give up on that whole thing. I don't want a relationship. I'll just be alone and I'll just do my own thing. And then I don't have to worry about somebody having to take care of me or letting anybody down or being a burden. And then I met him, and I had a really bad flare-up. And I was just laying on the floor, not moving. And I was just like, I'm here. That's it. And he just walks over and he puts a Ferrero Rocher in my mouth and he just goes, it's okay. And he's like, you stay down there as long as you need to. I'm up on the bed whenever you're ready. We can watch a movie. And it was just kind of like, that was the part of my brain that realized, hey, this isn't a burden for him. He accepts the way you are and he loves you for the way you are. And so it kind of talks about that.
Do you know the lyrics?
I do. I can sing it. And my voice is just,
yeah, you do it. Do you want your guitar? Or?
I can do it a cappella if I have to.
Do it however you want to.
I see the darkness, you see the light. I'm weak and I'm weary, you're full of might, holding me close till the morning is bright. And when the day turns to night, you'll be there by my side. And I may be broken, but I'm broken with you. And I know I'm fragile, but you'll be my glue. You hold me together, you wrap me real tight as I finally sleep in your arms through the night. And it just kind of goes more into the whole...
God, that's gorgeous.
Thank you.
Your voice is just amazing. That's the first time I've heard you live, and so, wow.
Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
It's kind of, and I kind of wrote the whole, dang it. It's the chorus. It talks about, you hold me together, blah, blah, blah. And I kind of did that because I did that as like a kind of thing because my joints pop out of place a lot. They sublux. And so it's kind of difficult to keep my joints where they're supposed to be. And so I kind of did that as a basis of the disability part, but also the emotional part. And I felt like it was a good mix of that. And that's actually going to be the album name of my album that I'm about to produce. And I have an idea for the picture. And I'm so excited about it for like the cover photo. And it's literally just me with vines like holding my joints together. And that sounds weird, but I thought it kind of fit to the theme of the song. And it also held my earthy thing that I love. I basically only wear green. It's to the point my mom tells me like, you need to try a different color. But I like to feel like I'm part of all that, even though I'm a human being and I'm not a tree. But you know, I like to dress like a tree or like moss. I wanted to dye my hair green so I could look like moss, and everybody talked me out of that, so I didn't do it. But
I dyed my beard green for St. Patrick's Day.
I wanted a whole head of hair that looked like several different shades of moss, and I wanted it to intertwine, and it was gonna look so cool. And everyone was like, No.
I think you should do that for a music video.
It would be cool.
I think you should.
I'm buying wigs because my hair doesn't grow. So I'm getting a few wigs and I may get me a green wig and nobody can say anything about it. Yeah, so I kind of wanted to keep the cover photo leaning more towards the line of like the earthiness. Because if I could live in the world of Lord of the Rings, I would. So pretty. I wanted to keep kind of to that part of me because it's become a thing that people know about me. Like they know that I'm very outdoorsy and just I feel like if we all just were barefoot on the grass for like 20 minutes, we would have so much more joy in our lives. I'm that kind of thing. And it's kind of become, I don't know, a staple for me. I had my appendix taken out and I didn't show up in my whimsical earthy clothes and somebody didn't recognize me. They were like, Makenna? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, you're wearing a t-shirt and jeans. I was like, yeah, I am. I was like, I had surgery 4 days ago. I'm not wearing my stuff right now, but it's kind of become what people know from me. And if that's one thing they know, I'm happy about that. That's like the genuine me. So it makes me happy that they know the actual me and who I am. And so many of them have been so supportive of every weird, quirky thing that I do that for years I was really scared to just be myself. Like, I'm a Renaissance nerd. I've been planning my Renaissance outfit for July already. I'm making it out of doilies. I told my mom the doily thing and she started laughing at me. I was like, you don't see the vision, just trust me. I'm taking doilies, I'm using fabric dye to dye them green, and I'm making a skirt. And she's like, more green? I was like, yes, more green. And if you can't tell, I designed everything in here visually, so it's green. Because I got to put my hand, I wanted this to feel like if Cracker Barrel was a bougie winery. So we have like this is checkers, and then we have tic-tac-toe on all the other tables and little tiny games for families and friends to do while they're here.
Unique Connect 4 is my favorite.
Yeah, we're planning on getting more board games. We just haven't had the chance to get it yet. But I want this to feel like somebody people can come to and just feel safe and happy, and like somewhere where they can stay and not feel like, oh, I need to leave, I need to be rushed out. Like it's a place where we have a whole bookshelf full of like 100 and some books that were thankfully donated by several different schools and businesses and everybody, where they're not sold, they're just here for people to read and enjoy while they're here. And I wanted this to feel how I would want to feel going into a place. Peaceful, calm, accepting, and just warm. And so that's kind of what we went with. And when we're actually open, these overhead lights will be on and it'll just be these because they give really nice, calm lighting. And I hate fluorescence with a passion. It feels like a doctor's office. So we wanted to build a place that felt very comforting to people. And I think that we've done a decent job of that here.
Well, it's beautiful. I love the place. It's very eclectic.
Everything I got from here was thrifted.
Yeah.
All the photos, except for one, was actually hand painted for us by a friend of mine. It's in there. But everything in here, those chairs in there, we got for $12 total for 6 chairs at a thrift store. I love it. It's bargain hunting, and it's old, and that's my favorite thing in the world.
There's the little thrift store in South Charleston. I think it's on D Street, Art in Hand.
I haven't been there.
Oh, it's cute. I bought a couch and chair there for my Airbnb, for one of my Airbnbs. It was really nice. It's a great old place.
I go to Brown's Antique Mall in Nitro a lot. Because they're
What about that one?
They're like 2.5 floors. They are super affordable. And I have gotten so many things from there because I go to a lot of antique places and they're so expensive and I don't have that money. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm just looking.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to ask if you've been to the new place up on Corkville where A to Z used
Yeah, I
to be.
haven't yet. I haven't gotten the chance.
Cool. It's pretty good.
Actually, the person that used to be the business in here is also in that. It's Brainy's Emporium. She has a booth there, so I am wanting to go check that out.
There's a place in Dunbar that's on a little back street against a railroad track. It's really cool. I forget the name, but I don't know.
I know which one you're talking about. I just don't remember the name.
It's kind of like a warehouse looking place.
Yeah, it has like a whole bunch of eclectic foods in it. It's the Eclectic Goods.
Is that the name of it?
Eclectic Goods.
I don't remember the food part.
Yeah, I've been there. I bought a hat from there, and they used to have live music in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they had a stage and they had a karaoke contest that I was the judge of, which was a really random side quest. I don't know. It just happened. And they used to have live music. I don't believe they do live music anymore. But yeah, I got a tumbler from there and a few other things, but I haven't been there in a few years.
Yeah, there's a couple of places in South Charleston that I check out now. And I tend to like antiques. I actually had a ridiculous amount of antiques at one time. If you go through my Facebook photographs, they're in albums. There's one that's just called Antiques. That group of antiques is most of it from the 1800s. Do you know what scrimshaw is? It's a bone that's been carved on. Sometimes it's ivory, sometimes it's just regular bone. But I had a huge collection. There's laws that surround that, and you have to have the paperwork from the time it was created to carry with it throughout history to show that it's the correct age. Otherwise, they consider it something that's illegal because you can't just do that anymore.
I have a whole collectible Civil War section of collectibles. I have books from the 1800s that are like first edition, written by Civil War generals, and because my dad is a huge nerd and he reenacts. And he got me into reenacting.
Does he do the Civil War battlefield at Somersville? That's a reenactment every year.
I believe that we're going this year. I think this is our first year doing that.
Carnifax Fair.
Yeah, we haven't. We've been there. We haven't been to the reenactment. We're also going to like Philippi. They used to do Droop Mountain. They don't do that anymore. They don't do the reenactment there anymore. It's just it changed hands and it just kind of lost its momentum and they just stopped doing it. But I do a lot of that stuff, and I collect like Civil War clothing and hats and all this other junk that I love. And I buy my dad all these little like Civil War figurine builds and old paintings and everything. I also am obsessed with the music from back then. I listen to 1800s music a lot more than any normal person. I have a whole album of my Apple Music.
I couldn't tell you what 1800s music sounds like.
It's like Hardtack. There's a song that's called Hardtack, Come Again No More. I'm trying to think, because there's so many. You get the ones that were written after the Civil War but about it, or you get the ones that were written before and just carried through bluegrass. Most of them are still played during bluegrass. Like Mom's Little Baby Love, Short and Mom. That one was from the 1800s. And actually, a lot of Civil War music came from Ireland. When the Irish people immigrated here, they brought their music, and it kind of spread throughout all of that music as well. So a lot of Civil War songs are actually Irish music. And I find that really interesting. So I have like a 3-hour playlist of just music from like back then. Because it's just fun music, honestly. And then there's some that are just really depressing. But most of the depressing ones have the most fun melodies ever that you don't even realize it's sad.
Pretty dark. There's some old songs about some of the massacres and things that happened back in those days. Some of that music's pretty dark. Ring Around the Rosie, the game we played growing up, is actually a dark song.
It's
dark as hell.
It is, and I realized that when I got I think I was like 13 when I found that out, and I was like, why are we singing this? What is this? Like, there's one song, and it's called Coming to Us Dead, and it's from a song that was written, I believe, after the Spanish War. And it was sang during the Civil War, and it was talking about their son going over there and then coming back and he's dead. But it's to the most upbeat melody you have ever heard in a song. And I'm listening to this and I'm like, well, this is fun. And then I listen to the lyrics and I'm like, wait a second, what? He's dead. They're taking their son home dead. What is this? And then, but you can't help but not bop your head at it because it's so upbeat sounding.
Wow.
And if you didn't listen to the lyrics, you wouldn't know that it was depressing. And there's a song that I actually wrote called Hardtack and Coffee because I wanted to incorporate that. And it's about a man, and I've actually never sang it live. It's about a man who was in the Civil War, and then when that was over, he went into mining. And I really like the song, but it's a full band song because it has a banjo and it has fiddle and it has 3-part singing at the end of it, where it's Hardtack, the Civil War song, playing, and then crud, I don't remember what it's called. My brain knows what it's called, but. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Battle Hymn of the Republic, that version of that. And it's them layered over each other. In like one of them, I start singing Hardtack, Hardtack, and then they start singing different parts of Battle Hymn of the Republic. And I loved the way it was done, and we wrote it super fast. It was really cool. And then I have never gotten to record it, and I haven't actually gotten to play out with the people I wrote it with. So I'm really hoping to get that on the album that I'm about to start doing, because I love it. It's more on the bluegrass leaning.
What did you write with Andrew?
I wrote a song called This Old House, and I wrote a song called Sweet Rose. This Old House is actually on Apple Music. And I wrote it about the house across the road from here, because that's where I grew up. It was built in 1832. It was used in the Underground Railroad to hide runaway slaves so that they wouldn't get caught. And it was a really interesting house. They had like false walls that they would hide people behind, and holes in the walls so they could see the river, to see the ships going by, to make sure that they were safe. And it was really cool. Historically speaking, it was a very interesting house. And so we wrote kind of about the history of the house. And then we wrote Sweet Rose, and I wrote the chorus of it, and then got stuck. Had writer's block, could not finish it, but I wanted to finish it, so I got with Andrew, and I really love what we ended up writing. And then his song Someday is on my EP on Apple Music as well. He gave that one to me, and it's a beautiful song. Everything Andrew writes is a beautiful song, honestly. He's extremely talented.
I've had so much fun enjoying his music, and the interview with Andrew was a blast.
I bet. He's very, very fun to talk to. He's just a great person.
Do you know any of the rest of his family? He comes from his family's been around our area for a long time. They got a lot of history there, and there's just some interesting, the way they talk, the stories they tell. His dad's quite a storyteller. His dad's an accountant by profession, but storytelling is probably one of his, it's very Andrew gets it.
That's what I was going to say. I see where Andrew gets it from. That man could tell a story about a frog or a table, and you would believe every word he said, and it would be the most interesting thing you ever heard.
Do you know his song about Don't Go Down to the Water?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's such a great song.
Don't go in the water. It's a good, he has, and then there's the one about the snake handler church. Mm-hmm. That's really cool. He wrote Tailor Made, which is my single on my music, and he gave that to me as well. I'm now randomly thinking about more and more that he's written, and that song is so good. He's actually in the music video.
I love how I go talk to these different artists in the state, and they're all some connection. I love it when people are connected across the state, and they work together and intertwined. And I like getting to meet the different dynamics. And it's been a lot of fun. This was an unplanned adventure of mine, and I've had so much fun with it. It's been interesting, and I'm meeting great people like you and Andrew. Of course, I already knew Andrew, but there's just a lot of interesting artists out there. I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, I bet. There's so many incredibly talented people in West Virginia, and I feel like we've made a pretty good community here for anybody starting out or anybody that's been in it for a long time. It's just you have people to go, hey, I can't think of anything. What do you got? And they'll immediately jump in and be like, okay, let's do this. And they help you in so many ways, whether that's mentoring, which Andrew was, very much like a mentor to me, and he's been an amazing part of my life. And there was so many, because I met Andrew, I think at like 12. I was like 12 or 13. And him and several other absolutely amazing musicians took me under their wing and kind of like showed me the ropes, helped me learn how to write because I wasn't really great at it yet. I didn't really know what I was doing. And they don't judge you or anything. They're just like, hey, here, this is what works for me. Let's try it out for you. And if it doesn't work, we'll figure out what works for you. And they're just patient, and they're absolutely amazing people. And I feel like there's a lot of competition in a lot of areas that like, oh, well, you can't be better than me, or I can't be better than you, blah, blah. And that's not really an issue I've had that much here. It's like people just want to help each other. If you were struggling to get shows, they go, hey, I can't do this show. Do you want it? And it's just such a community that I'm really, really glad to be a part of.
Well, I am thrilled to meet you. As I said earlier, you're the first female that I had the pleasure of sitting down and having a conversation with. And Justin definitely hit the mark when he suggested you. He told me, I called Justin, he's talking about people helping each other. I finally released an episode this past Sunday. Wasn't the best editing or anything, but I got one done. But I had missed the 3 Sundays before that.
Mm-hmm.
I had some personal issues. A close family member of my closest friend passed away, and kind of got distracted. I wanted to be there and be 100% present in that time, and so I knew that it was going to hurt me a little bit, as far as getting my stuff done and my momentum that I had going. But there's just certain things you want to be 100% present for. And that was one of those things that regardless of the cost, I wanted to be there for that. But when I got ready to start back, I was like, okay, I've had these people in the network that I was working with for a while, and now I've kind of lost the momentum with that person. And so I called Justin, and I was, of course, do you know that? No, you don't. Of course you don't. So ask you if you know something that I know you can't possibly know. So in January, I had decided to start this in December, and I really didn't know what I was doing. Still don't know what I'm doing, and still flying by the seat of my pants, so to speak. But I had decided I'm going to do something by the first Sunday in January, and so I keep looking for somebody I can feel this comfort with to start. And finally, I'm like, "You're out of town, boy. You got to do something." So I started racking my brain. Who am I going to interview? And I know musicians. I've known Andrew. I've known a bunch of people. But you kind of want to start getting your feet wet where, you're not going to hurt anybody's feelings or anything. And so I had remembered picking up Justin's business card it was in a random place. I see this business card and I'm like, folklore, what's that? I start researching it and I'm like, Parachute Brigade, what's all this? And so I started researching Justin a little bit, and I'm like, this guy's interesting. And so when it was time to do something, I was running out of time. I was going to release it on Sunday, and this is Saturday afternoon, and I'm like, you got to do something. You cannot drop the ball. You got to do something. So I was thinking about just sitting down and reading some stuff myself or doing anything, and I'm like, no, you got to do more than that. So I pick up the business card and call Justin, and I'm like, you don't know me and I don't know you, but I want to start this podcast. And I was like, would you be willing to sit down with me for my first podcast session? First he tells me, he's the only one working the store and he can't take a break to sit down with me. And I was like, well, would you give me 20 minutes when you close the store? And he's like, sure, I can do that if you're willing to wait. So I got my stuff together in Summersville, drove up to Charleston or down to Charleston, and sit down with him, and he gave me my first interview. So I have a true respect for him. Just didn't know him from Adam, and so he was so kind to me when I was having trouble. I called him back the other day or I emailed him, and I was like, "Hey, I'm hitting the struggle bus here. Who can you suggest to me?" And he asked if I'd talked to you. And of course, you and I had messaged back and forth 5 or 6 weeks ago. And so anyway, when he suggested you, I was like, "Yeah, I've already talked to her. Let me see if she's interested." And so anyway, it turned out to be absolutely great. I appreciate him for suggesting you, and I appreciate you for being willing.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun.
It's been a blast. It's been the most different one ever. It's not just about music, but what I really want to do is introduce the artist.
Mm-hmm.
And this has been a great opportunity to get to know you and your voice. I'm just absolutely blown away by your voice.
Thank you.
That little a cappella session there, you belted it out, and it just brought tears to my eyes. I felt chills. I mean, that's what you should have an experience when you hear music, and hearing you sing was definitely more than just words. It was an experience. So I want to say thank you for that, and thank you for your time.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been
I
fun.
really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Cool.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Sunday Brunch with Luke. This has been a special episode with Makenna, and much more in depth than I thought I would get to learn, but it's been beautiful. And thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one.